Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to learn about pentose phosphate pathway. This is also known as hexose monophosphate pathway. So without wasting our time, let's start with the class. So pentose phosphate pathway. This is also known as hexose monophosphate pathway and also known as phosphogluconate pathway. This is an alternative pathway of glucose oxidation. As you know, glucose is oxidized in glycolysis pathway, right? Where it is giving rise to ATP by producing pyruvate, right? Later this ATP used for energy purpose. So why glucose need to enter into pentose phosphate pathway? Why this pathway is necessary? Okay, that we'll learn today. Now this pathway is necessary because in cells we need NADPH, and NADPH is generated via this pentose phosphate pathway. So by this alternative pathway we are getting NADPH. So whether glucose will enter into glycolysis pathway, or in pentose phosphate pathway, it depends upon the concentration of NADPH and concentration of NADP positive. If the concentration in the cell is high of NADPH, then glucose will not enter into pentose phosphate pathway. If the NADPH concentration is less, so cells require NADPH. So cell will allow pentose phosphate pathway to produce NADPH. Got it? So this is the reason cells allow pentose phosphate pathway for oxidation of glucose. Okay, I hope you got the point. And this pathway has so many importance, so that we'll learn at the end of my class. So pentose phosphate pathway, this is divided into two stages. One is known as oxidative and another one is known as non-oxidative. In oxidative stages we are getting NADPH plus H plus, okay, and in non-oxidative we will not get NADPH plus H plus. This we'll see later. First we will see oxidative stages. So before going to oxidative stages, I hope you know that glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate, and this is a common process in glycolysis as well as in pentose phosphate pathway. This glucose 6-phosphate is only going to be oxidized here. Okay, so let's see the oxidative stages. So in oxidative stage there are involvement of some enzymes. One is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, gluconolactonase, and phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. We'll see the functions of those enzymes, and we'll learn about the end products. What all end products we will get, that we'll see, and the overall reactions. Okay. So let's begin with the oxidative phase. In oxidative stage, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into ribulose 5-phosphate, which is a pentose sugar, and this is an keto sugar. Okay, C double bond O. Now this glucose 6-phosphate will oxidize and will converted into this. While conversion, it will give NADPH plus H plus. Okay, so first glucose 6-phosphate will converted into 6-phosphogluconodelta-lactam with the help of the enzyme glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. I told you the first enzyme that is used here is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, and this will make NADPH to NADPH plus H plus by taking 2 hydrogen from this carbon. Okay, got it. Now this 2 hydrogen has been removed and taken by NADP positive, so it will convert it into C double bond O bond. So hence the molecule name is 6-phosphoglucono delta lactone. Now H2O will enter and C double bond O bond will convert it into carboxylic bond. Okay, this bond will convert it into carboxylic bond and the molecule will name as 6-phosphogluconate. Now 6-phosphogluconate will convert it into ribulose 5-phosphate, removing this carbon dioxide C double bond O negative by removing as a carbon dioxide molecule and give rise to 5 carbon ketose sugar, that is ribulose 5-phosphate. Here the enzyme is lactonase and here this is also dehydrogenase. This is 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. So the overall reaction is glucose 6-phosphate will converted into 6-phosphoglucono delta lactone by the help of enzyme dehydrogenase, which will take 2 molecules of hydrogen from this carbon and give rise to C double bond O bond. That molecule name is 6-phosphoglucono delta lactone. So one molecule of NADPS we are getting here and C double bond O bond will converted into carboxylic bond. So the molecule will name as 6-phosphogluconate, where one molecule of water will play a role here, which will give hydrogen for this which will give oxygen for this carbon and it will convert it into carboxylic bond. Okay, and this now will convert into ribulose 5-phosphate with the help of dehydrogenase enzyme, where carbon dioxide will be removed and this will convert into an ribulose 5-phosphate and the name will be ribulose 5-phosphate. And here one molecule of NADP positive NADPH plus H plus will generate. I hope you got this point. So now this is the overall reaction where glucose 6-phosphate will give rise to 2 molecules of NADPH plus H plus by taking 2 molecules of NADP positive and ribulose 5-phosphate. So this is the overall reaction. And what is the end product here? End product is NADPH plus H plus carbon dioxide and ribulose 5-phosphate. So this is our pentose phosphate pathway. It is the oxidative stage of this pathway. Okay, and this stage is irreversible. This stage is irreversible. You cannot revert back ribulose 5-phosphate into glucose 6-phosphate by help of these enzymes. Okay, this is an irreversible reaction. So I hope you got it. So let's move to the non-oxidative stage. Now in non-oxidative phase, here also involvement of some enzymes epimerase, transcriptolase and transaldolase. I hope you know about transcriptolase and transaldolase. If you do not know about transcriptolase and transaldolase, please Google it. It is just one reactions where keto group will be taken by aldehyde sugar. An aldehyde group will be transferred into keto sugar. Okay, it means that's only transfer of keto and aldehyde group. So you will get those points. And epimerase, epimer I hope you know if you know the biochemistry of carbohydrates. So I'm not going into details of these 3 enzymes. Okay, just keep in mind these 3 enzymes is involved here. Let's go through about these enzymes. Here in oxidative phase we got ribulose 5-phosphate, right? This ribulose 5-phosphate now give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and glucose 6-phosphate. We are getting back glucose 6-phosphate from ribulose 5-phosphate by the help of non-oxidative phase. As I told you that oxidative phase is not reversed back. Okay, but oxidative phase, if it is not reversed back, we are going we are going back glucose 6-phosphate by another pathway, that is non-oxidative stage of the pentose phosphate pathway. So here we are getting from ribulose to glucose 6-phosphate plus glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, so this is non-oxidative phase is basically rearranged of the carbon molecules, that we will see that how rearranging is occurring in non-oxidative phase. And by rearranging the carbon molecules in ribulose 5-phosphate, we are getting glucose 6-phosphate back and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Okay, so in ribulose we have total 5 carbon. So don't think that only one ribulose 5-phosphate will rearrange their carbons. There will be total 6. Total 30 carbons will rearrange their carbons and they will give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and glucose 6-phosphate. So don't bother about the numbers. Okay, just keep in mind that 6 ribulose 5-phosphate will rearrange their carbons and will give rise to. Just remember that how ribulose 5-phosphate will give rise to glucose 6-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. That is the main aim of non-oxidative phase. So let's see one by one all the reactions that how these things is happening. Okay, so let's start with the non-oxidative phase. This is the first stage of non-oxidative stage, where ribulose 5-phosphate is converted into ribose 5-phosphate. Okay, ribulose 5-phosphate and ribose 5-phosphate are isomer of each other. Here the enzyme involved here is isomerase. Okay, ribulose 5-phosphate will converted into ribose 5-phosphate, and this is the second stage of non-oxidative stage. Here ribulose 5-phosphate will converted into xylulose 5-phosphate. This is also an keto sugar. These are epimer of each other. What is epimer? Just orientation of one carbon is different. Everything are same. Okay. So ribulose is converted into xylulose 5-phosphate with the help of epimerase. And the previous reactions were ribulose to ribose, right? Ribulose is the keto sugar and ribose were which sugar? That was, there was an aldehyde group, so that was an aldose sugar. So what is happening? Ribulose is converted into ribose 5-phosphate and xylulose 5-phosphate. This is with the help of isomerase and this is with the help of epimerase. This is an keto sugar, this is an aldehyde sugar or aldose sugar, whatever you can name it. Okay, so these two reactions were the first reactions of non-oxidative phase of pentose phosphate pathway. So let's see how these two now rearrange their carbons and give rise to glucose 6-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So look at these reactions. What we got? Xylulose 5-phosphate and ribose 5-phosphate. From here we got ribulose 5-phosphate, right? These two we got from ribulose 5-phosphate by the help of isomerase and epimerase. Now these two will rearrange their carbon and they will give rise to pseudoheptulase and glycerol D3-phosphate by the help of the enzyme transketolase. Transketolase will play a important role here. So what transketolase will do? Transketolase will transfer its keto group to the aldehyde sugar. How? See, these three will transfer here and these will come to here. This is the function of transketolase. Nothing, just aldehyde group will transfer to the keto group and keto group will transfer to the, this is keto group and this is known as R1. Okay, this is called as R1. If you see any transketolase functions, you will get to know. So nothing, just the aldehyde group will transfer here and keto group, this structure will transfer to here and this will give rise to pseudoheptulase and glycerol D3-phosphate. See CH2 C double bond to COH. You can see with the color that I have arranged with the colors, so you can detect easily that how they have rearranged the carbons. Now this two pseudoheptulase and 7-phosphate and glycerol D3-phosphate, now they will rearrange and they will give rise to another sugar. Let's learn this reaction. So glycerol D3-phosphate and pseudoheptulase we got from xylulose plus ribose, right? By rearranging their carbons. So now glycerol D3-phosphate and pseudoheptulase 7-phosphate will rearrange their carbons with the help of transaldolase enzymes and they will give rise to 6 carbon compound and 4 carbon compound. And in xylulose and ribose we had 5 carbon and 5 carbon compound. These two 5 carbon compound has given 7 carbon compound and 3 carbon compound. Now this 7 carbon compound 3 carbon compound will rearrange and they will give 6 carbon compound and 4 carbon compound. And so by the color code you can see how they have rearranged. Okay, see this one has come here by taken this part of this molecule pseudoheptulase. Okay, they have joined together and they have produced erythrose 4-phosphate. It is 4 carbon compound. What does it mean? It means that the aldehyde group has transferred from glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to pseudoheptulase by removing this part from pseudoheptulase and transfer to the aldose sugar. So this is known as aldose acceptor and this is known as aldose donor. So they have donated their aldose group to the aldose acceptor, okay, and they have shuffled their carbons and they have produced fructose 6-phosphate and erythrose 4-phosphate. By the color code you can see, okay. So this is the reactions that how fructose 6-phosphate and erythrose phosphate has formed by rearranging their carbon. So finally we got 6 carbon and 4 carbon compound. Now this erythrose 4-phosphate will again shuffle with xylulose 5-phosphate and they will give rise to another carbon molecules that we'll see. Fructose 6-phosphate is intact now. Okay. As I told you, xylulose 5-phosphate and erythrose 4-phosphate, they will shuffle with each other and they will give rise to again fructose 6-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So as you see, this is I have given different color, this I have given different color. They will rearrange and they will give rise to these two molecules. So fructose 6-phosphate 1, 2, 3 carbon coming from where? This 3 carbon coming from here. Okay, this is aldose acceptor, aldehyde acceptor, and this is donor. So they will donate their aldose group here and give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. You need to learn about transketolase and transaldolase. Okay, so just nothing, just this is the only thing. Okay, this will come here and this will come here, so it will give rise to R2 and it will give rise to R1. So for aldehyde, from here to here it is R1, and for ketose you need to take one carbon extra. This one, this one, this one, 3 carbon total, and the part, this part is known as R2. Okay, so this will go here and this will come here. By the color code you can understand easily. So xylulose 5 phosphate, this is 5 carbon sugar, and this is 4 carbon sugar, total 9 carbon. They will rearrange and they will give 6 carbon compound of fructose 6 phosphate, 6 carbon compound this one, and 3 carbon this one, glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. So you can see here we have got now see we got fructose 6 phosphate, 2 molecules, and we got 1 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. Now this fructose 6 phosphate, but we didn't get yet glucose 6 phosphate, right? So from fructose 6 phosphate to glucose 6 phosphate, this is the reversible reaction of glycolysis. They will give rise to glucose 6 phosphate. Okay. So this is the non-oxidative phase. So this is the non-oxidative phase where from ribulose 5-phosphate to we got glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. Later this fructose 6-phosphate will give rise to glucose 6-phosphate. So got this reaction, so we'll see the summary. I hope you got those reactions, non-oxidative stages. So this is the summary of the non-oxidative stage. So 5 carbon compound and 5 carbon compound, total 10 carbon compound, right? Ribose and xylulose, those two give rise to pseudoheptulase and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Then they will rearrange and they will give you to fructose 6-phosphate and erythrose 4-phosphate, right? Now erythrose 4-phosphate again react with xylulose 5-phosphate, that is 5 carbon compound, and give rise to again fructose 6-phosphate, and they will give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. If you remember, same reaction will happen and give rise to 2 molecule glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now these 2 glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate together they will give fructose 6-phosphate. So from here we are getting fructose 6-phosphate, here also we are getting fructose 6-phosphate, here also we are getting fructose 6-phosphate. These three will give rise to glucose 6-phosphate. So this is the summary of non-oxidative phase of pentose phosphate pathway. We have understood. So let's see the importance of pentose phosphate pathway now. So if you have understood the pentose phosphate pathway, both the stages oxidative and non-oxidative, so we'll move to the function. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and like the video so I can come up with new topics. So that will be inspiration for me to teach new topics. Okay. So let's see the pentose phosphate pathway. So before moving to pentose phosphate pathway, please subscribe the channel. So now see what we got, NADPH, and this NADPH serves as a source of electron for reductive biosynthesis and detoxification. So this is an important reactive biosynthesis in the sense for lipid biosynthesis, for amino acid biosynthesis. So all those reactions, fatty acid biosynthesis, same. So for that purpose we need NADPase, enormous source of NADPase we need. So this pathway is giving us NADPase source. So it is important. Again, erythrose 4-phosphate we have got, if you have remembered, or you can see again that erythrose 4-phosphate how we are getting. This erythrose 4-phosphate is the precursor of vitamin B6 and precursor of aromatic amino acid. So this is an intermediate compound in pentose phosphate pathway, so it is important. So for erythrose 4-phosphate pathway we need pentose phosphate pathway. Again, ribose 5-phosphate, if you know, the ribose is the important part of nucleic acid. Without ribose, we don't have DNA or RNA. So ribose sugar is important, and that is generating from where? By pentose phosphate pathway. So pentose phosphate pathway is important. Again, ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. This is also an important intermediate in pentose phosphate pathway. Why? Because in photosynthesis, who will accept the carbon dioxide? The carbon dioxide is getting accepted by ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. So this is important. And there are a lot of intermediates which give rise to production of ATP. Like from fructose 6-phosphate, you are getting ATP by generating glucose 6-phosphate. By generating glucose 6-phosphate, they will give rise to glucose, and this glucose will come up with the glycolysis, and they will give rise to ATP. So this is, I just told you on a simple way that how you can get ATP. So there are a lot of intermediates will give rise to ATP. Okay. So, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Last, this is can also enter into glycolytic pathway. If you remember in glycolysis, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is generating from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, right? So fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is generating glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, then glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate gives rise to pyruvate. So if we are getting glyceraldehyde here only in pentose phosphate pathway, so it can give rise to pyruvate easily. So this is also an important for production of ATP as well as pyruvate. So this is the end of pentose phosphate pathway. So I hope you have liked it and you have enjoyed it, and you have understand the concept of why this pathway is important and how it's happening and what are all the stages and why this pathway is being chosen by the cell, and how those stages is completing, and what are all the enzymes and what are all the overall reactions, and what are the names of those intermediate compounds. So please see once again, it will be clear, and please like channel, like the video and subscribe it. Thank you.